Way back in Crocodile Cauldron, the Kongs meet Klubba, a giant slab of Kremling who stands guard at the threshold of the Lost World. For the right price, he'll let you in. He plays the role of disillusioned subordinate, but there's more to Klubba than meets the eye. Maybe letting Diddy and Dixie pass is all a part of his plan. This is part 57 of Overthinking Donkey Kong Country 2. That wasn't speculation, by the way. Once upon a time, Klubba was slated to be the boss of the Lost World, and the true final boss of DKC 2. It didn't shake out that way, and I'm glad, but we'll talk more about that later. The Lost World is, to me, one of the least visually interesting areas of the game. It feels almost like a placeholder image, a basic map to be filled out later. That said, the more I come back here, the more I like it. The two mountain levels seemed arbitrary at first, but now I think they're a very deliberate fire and ice juxtaposition, and could be symbolic of the magical properties of the world itself. There are 3 clearings, each representing a level. And yeah, I always thought it felt kind of slapdash, but over time, and especially while recording the footage for this series, I've come to give it the credit it's due. There's a sort of off-axis symmetry going on here, with the mountains bordered by clearings, and I think it's beautiful for what it is. There's an element of mystery here too. It's very possible that the stone crocodile head in the center of the map uses Klubba's model. Another way of looking at it is Klubba's likeness. This could very well have served as a hint as to who awaits them in the crocodile's maw, but I actually think it could be a bit deeper than that. It'll have to wait though. One thing I really dig about The Lost World is it's got this Land of the Lost, journey to the center of the earth feel to it. Researching for this video, I came across the notion that The Lost World could actually be named after the book of the same name by Arthur Conan Doyle. Given the subject matter, I'd say that's right on the money. Also, the energy surging from the center volcano is pretty rad. The Lost World's levels can be played in any order, but in order of appearance, the world's progression is quite similar to Gloomy Gulch. Jungle levels on either end and in the center, buffered by 2 mountains, one cold, one less cold. The first level is Jungle Jinx, the name clearly being a nod to the first level of DKC. Jungle Jinx's biggest draw is the new jungle theme, though the gameplay is centered around the giant tires. What I dig about this is the jungle theme was the most iconic setting of the original game, and tires were a common sight and aided in traversal. DKC 2 holds both off until The Lost World. I know I'm reading too much into it, but to me, that just screams confidence in the new ideas DKC 2 brings to the table. Black Ice Battle is, to me, the most memorable level in The Lost World, and one that kinda holds a special place in my heart. I don't think it's objectively the most memorable, especially since it's probably tied with Klobber Karnage for the most stock standard gameplay, but it's one that for some reason would always stand out to me as a younger dude. It's a dangerous downhill fight and it's awesome. Klobber Karnage up next, and we're back in the jungle, albeit with a warmer palette. Klobber's in the name, and all forms of the bastard abound, but the main gameplay focus are the barrels. The timed, omnidirectional barrels from Barrel Bayou return here, putting the players through their paces before culminating in an absolutely unhinged 1-2 punch of sequences revolving around a moving variant. 4th level, Fiery Furnace, serves as a sort of part 2 to Klobber Karnage. It's the final volcano level and the only one to have a different palette, and like Klobber Karnage, it revolves around traversing long stretches of death via barrels. This time around, it's the newly introduced steerable barrel. Hop in and you can fly it any which way you please, but once the timer runs out, it'll shoot you out regardless of where you are. You can't aim it either, just move it about. Those previous 2 levels feel like this game's answer to Misty Mine and Loopy Lights. Both have similar feels, paces, lengths, and I feel there's a dirty joke in there somewhere, so I'm just gonna move on. The final level of The Lost World, and indeed the entire game, is Animal Antics. Animal Antics is a cunt of a level, specifically the squawk section. See, Animal Antics is actually 5 smaller levels all played back to back, with each one centered around a different animal buddy. Squitter and On Guard aren't too bad, Ramby's opening act is downright fun, but the 4th stretch, Squawks in the Brambles during a hurricane, is the single hardest moment in the entire game. I know a couple of people out there disagree, but come on, I'm totally right here. Ratley closes out the level and is probably the 2nd hardest of the 5, but where his section draws most of its tension is from the fact that if you fuck up here, you're gonna have to do the squawk section all over again. And we're not gonna talk about the final boss just yet, but rest assured, it's a good one. So yeah, Klubba was, at one point in time, slated to be the big bad of The Lost World. For whatever reason, he was cut, and parts of his fight were recycled for cudgels. And I guess I'm glad it shook out the way it did. Even though he wasn't the real antagonist of the game, Klubba's original role survives in various small details, like the stone head of the volcano. But the fact that he was gonna heel turn also makes us see our interactions with him in a whole new light. Could he have been pretending to guard the Lost World to throw the Kongs off the scent, when in reality he wanted them to open the way to Crocodile Core, so he could swoop in at the final moment and claim the island's power for himself? Maybe he was planning on usurping Krool with it. And that got me thinking too. Maybe the Lost World itself was at some stage going to have a more cohesive narrative. Maybe the levels would have told a bit more of a story, and similar to how Krematoa in DKC 3 has the 5 cogs, the levels in the Lost World could have had 5 keys to unlock the final area. Maybe there was going to be more significance in the accumulation of the Krem coins. They've got a real pirate look to them, so maybe they were going to be like the cursed Aztec gold in Pirates of the Caribbean or something. That's getting a bit out there, but you get me. The Lost World doesn't quite fit into the overarching narrative, as by its very nature, it doesn't really have a place of its own. Each level is likely to be played by itself, and not always in the same order, with worlds of other levels between them. I suppose if I were to shoehorn it into a more traditional narrative role, it'd be the B story, or maybe more accurately, sowing the seeds for the twist ending, drip feeding us a level at a time, seemingly unrelated to the goings on of the main game, only to reveal its connection to the main story at the final moment. But then again, I'm probably overthinking it. Alright, recap episodes are done, sort of. Got one more, then we're on to the final fight. Thanks for sticking with me, sorry for the ridiculous upload schedule, but it's the home stretch now, so stick with me just a bit longer.